recapping a shocking school shooting that happened in 2023. And there's a civil lawsuit against the teacher who was shot. She survived. She is Abby Zawarner. She is suing the vice principal, Ebony Parker. So we're going to do a few things today here. We're going to go over what led prior before the school shooting, a little bit of background, and then what led up to the school shooting that particular day. And I've got some background on the mother of the student, which she's 6 years old. Keep in mind, guys, this is first grade we're talking about. If you could remember, just think back when you were in first grade. I barely remember a lot of first grade. Um, One incident I do remember, and I think my teacher and I went to Francis Asbury, because I'm from Hampton, and my teacher was, I do remember her name. Her name was Mrs. Morgan. Is anybody out there who's watching this from my homies? Um, so one day she gives me a note to give to my mom, and I get home and I'm all excited. Hey, my teacher gave me this to give to you. And lo and behold, mom reads it and anger on her face. She gets the belt and starts whipping me. Like, what? Right? I'm 5 or 6 years old. I'm in first grade. I guess I was six in first grade. And she's whipping me and telling me I better stop talking in class because apparently I like to talk. No big surprise there, right? But I remember getting a whipping for because the teacher sent a note home and I got in trouble because apparently I'm talking when I'm not supposed to be. And I barely remember doing that, right? So me being in first grade and I only have just snippet shots of first grade. And that was obviously traumatic because mama beat my butt with a belt for talking in class. So I had gotten in trouble. But so this kid, they did not charge him. Obviously, he's 6 years old. He can't fathom the what he's done, right? In a way, but it just makes you wonder the environment that he's in, his home bringing, what's going on here to lead him up to this. So maybe we can start out with a little bit of background from his mother. She was born in 97. She's 28 years old. And she's a resident of Newport News, Virginia. She's best known as the mother of then the 6-year-old boy who shot his first grade teacher, Abigail Zawarner, on January 6, 2023, at Ridgeneck Elementary School. The incident, which drew national attention to issues of school safety, gun access, and parental responsibility, resulted in severe injuries to Zawarner, who was shot in the chest and hand while reading to her class. Good Lord. Tyler has no private public profile outside this case. She is not a public figure or in entertainment, business, or other fields. Limited to personal data are available due to the sensitivity of the case, but court records and media reports provide a comprehensive outline of her life and family and legal consequences. So, there was a case. Gosh, guys, I didn't pull that up. I had been doing so much research and cramming yesterday and Friday evening on catching up on the trial, which each of them were like 7 hours long. I think I have 3 days of trial from Court TV, and I had to speed it up, skip through breaks and lunch breaks and things like that, and then push fast. So they were talking fast, but I had the closed caption going. But there was a case, I guess it's in just the last few years, where a boy was he was drawing pictures of violent stuff, and it was kind of disturbing. They brought the parents in. The parents is like, oh, there's nothing to see here, and then he goes and shoots people. But the parents had given him a gun, right? I guess he was a teenager. But the parents were charged The parents were charged in that incident. They were held responsible as well for what he did because they allowed him to have a gun. So, origins of his mother. She grew up in Newport News City, known for its shipbuilding. We all know that. You got the shipyard down there, family structure. She's unmarried, no big surprise. And at least one child, the boy involved in the shooting, now 9 years. What? Tyler is unmarried and has at least one child, the boy involved in the shooting, which he is now 9 years old. His identity is protected, so that's the boy in question, and we will call him JT. She has experienced multiple miscarriages, contributing to the report of mental health struggles. Her father is not publicly identified, but her grandfather, Calvin Tyler, a retired Army military police officer and Virginia Department of Corrections captain, has been a key family figure. He's gained full custody of the boy after the incident and has advocated for Dijon, describing her as a remorseful and seeking therapy. Her personal challenges. Court filings revealed Tyler has a history of substance abuse, including chronic marijuana use. 24 grams found in her home post-shooting, along with paraphernalia. She also suffers from depression and schizophrenic. What disorder? Conditions her attorneys argue were exacerbated by domestic violence and miscarriages. Prosecutors describe her drug use as life-affecting and persistent, noting failed drug tests, marijuana, and cocaine while on pre-trial release. What? Shooting incident. So we're going to go over that in another thing. How the handgun was accessed. Let's jump to that because, is she going to be held responsible for that as well? Tyler claimed the gun was secure in her purse on a high dresser with a trigger lock key under her mattress. However, her son told police he climbed a dresser drawer to retrieve it from the purse. No trigger lock, lockbox, or key was found during ATF searches. Prosecutor noted the boy had previously stolen car keys from her purse twice, once crashing her vehicle. Damn. So she knew he could get her keys, he could get into her purse. Kids are like, they can just climb all over the place. School context. Okay, so that's going to go over boy's profile, described by Tyler as very energetic due to ADHD diagnosis. He was on individualized education plan requiring daily parental classroom supervision, which Taylor says she followed initially, but not the week of the shooting. He receives therapy and attends a different school. No charges were filed against him due to his age. I mean, how are they going to charge a 6-year-old boy? He needs some serious psychotherapy and guidance, and just in a good environment. Let's get to her legal stuff here. Tyler faced both federal and state charges, pleading guilty in both cases. She expressed remorse in interviews, apologizing to Zwarner and linking her son's actions to ADHD while blaming school inaction. Oh, so she's blaming the school too. Let's see, what is this? Federal firearms charge type. Unlawful possession of a firearm is marijuana usage. She pleads, why is this doing this to me? There we go. I couldn't get it all on the reading thing. Let's go over here so y'all can see the court trial while listening to me read this stuff. Meant to be something, right? Some kind of movement. There goes the defense attorney. This is opening statements. There's the prosecution's fixing to come up. So she has unlawful possession. She pleads guilty on June 12, 2023. Key evidence notes is marijuana illegally, federally, despite Virginia legalization. Prior incident, fired gun at boyfriend, father of her son in December of 2022 over infidelity, suspicions, bullets missed, but endangered lives. So, wow, we have a She has a history of violence, which is bled over to her son. Firearm first statement. False statement on ATF Form 4437, lying about drug use during 2022 purchase. So she lied on her application getting the gun. So she pleads guilty in June 2023, sentenced November 15, 23 to 21 months in federal prison. High end of guidelines served immediately due to bond violations. So, failed pre-drug trial test, marijuana, cocaine, missed treatment session. So, yeah, she's like, I'm just going to get stoned because I'm going to have to go to jail anyway. Might as well enjoy. Felony child neglect, reckless disregard for child safety, misdemeanor reckless firearm storage, dropped in plea deal. Guilty plea August 15, 2023, sentence December 15th. To 5 years, 3 suspended, serving 2 years in state prison plus 2 years probation. Supervised visits with son until age 18 at grandfather's discretion. And this is key evidence notes. Harsher than 6 months plea recommendation of guidelines. Judge cited neglect severity over federal charges. Total effective time was 4 years. Concurrent sentence. So let's skip that so you guys can look at that. And I will put those links in the description and you can go watch the trial at your leisure. Let's see. We're still on the mother. Bond issues released a $5,000 bond initially but revoked in September 23 for drug violations. Attorney's defense. James Ellison and Gene Rossi argued for probation, citing mental health, domestic violence, victimization, and lack of prior record. They called the sentence excessive but did not appeal. This does drive me crazy because where's the accountability? Where's the accountability? Prosecutor's stance. U.S. Attorney Jessica Amber emphasized enforcement of gun laws. State Prosecutor Howard Gwynn highlighted gross wanton negligence. Aftermath and current status as of November 2025. Incarceration. Tyler completed her federal sentence in early 2025 and is serving the state term, which release projected around late 2025, early 26. She is undergoing substance abuse and counseling therapy. Family impact. The boy lives with Calvin Taylor, who worries about communities stigma affecting his future. Tyler can have supervised contact at her grandfather's discretion. Broader context. The case fueled debates on gun storage laws, school protocols, and mental health support. Zoeiner's lawsuit proceeds with a trial possibly in 2026. No update on Tyler's post-release plans. She has maintained a low profile with no verified social media presence tied to the case. So basically, we are in the trial now. Well, we're in the civil trial. Zoeiner against Ebony Parker, which Ebony Parker is the vice principal of the school. And Ebony Parker, we'll do a quick background of her because obviously she is in hot water. Now, there will be a criminal trial after this, but usually it's the other way around, right? You do the criminal trial first and then the civil trial. I'm not an expert, but that's what I hear. So she was a former educator and school administrator in Virginia, best known for her involvement in this high-profile case that we're talking about now at Ridge Neck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia. She served as the assistant principal at the school at the time of the event, which thrust her into legal and public scrutiny. Below is a summary of her professional background, the incident, and subsequent legal proceedings based on available public records. So, do we really want to know her professional background, her role? Well, so we know what her role was at the school. She's the assistant vice principal. Now, this says that Parker was responsible for daily operations, including responding to safety concerns, managing staff reports, and enforcing school policies on threats and searches. The school serves a diverse student body in a low-income area with a history of disciplinary challenges. Yeah, it's a nightmare. So you have all these women, young women with small children, no father at home. It's just a disaster. But you would think, and this occurred to me too, is because I have watched the 3 days of the trial, and knowing the non-response and taking it serious, which we get back to the defense's opening statement and opening argument, well, his opening statement rather, where he brings up the whole definition of hindsight's 2020 kind of thing, because everybody's saying their contention is, how could you fathom that a 6-year-old's going to bring a gun to school and shoot somebody? But again, when we go over the details, which we are here in a moment, where the administration, which is Ebony Parker here, was notified several times about different instances, and nothing was done. Nothing was done, obviously, because the woman gets shot, Mrs. Z. So my point is where we are now with the Columbine and all of these shootings. We just had one a few months ago. What was it, like 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated? Some wacko goes and shoots up a Catholic school. So we have, and I assumed that all of these schools across America, all these years since Columbine, that they had a no tolerance policy. So even if they suspected it was a toy gun, that's still a threat. Something should have been done, right? That's just my theory. That's my theory. So her role is to do all this. Then it's going over what happens, warnings ignored. I'm seeing what legal consequences. That's what I wanted to get to with her before we deep dive into the civil part of this. Parker resigned from her position shortly after the shooting amid internal investigation. She has faced both civil and criminal proceedings. So we haven't gone into the criminal proceedings yet. We're in the civil. She's indicted in April 2024 on 8 felony counts of child abuse and neglect. 1 bullet in the gun as endangered students. So, wow. So the gun that was found had 8 bullets in it. I think after he shot her, the gun jammed. So she's going to get charged for each bullet that was left in the gun. Wow, that's crazy. Prosecutors cited her failure to act as endangering the classroom. This is a rare charge against a school official, drawing comparisons to cases like the Parkland shooting deputy. So that's criminal charges. Okay, so now this is the civil suit. So she's going to be sued by Zawarner for $40 million and for negligence. The suit claims Parker's admissions directly contributed to the shooting. Other school officials were initially named but dismissed by a judge, allowing the case against Parker to proceed individually. The jury trial ongoing in Newport News Civic Court, which we're going to fix and to go over that. And then we just have public and media coverage. So that just gives you a little outline of what we're doing here. So, boom. What have I done? Here we go. So I am going to have some footage, even though I'm letting this play while I'm rambling on, getting you caught up. But we will I will put in some clips. Sorry about that. I'm going to put in some clips. I got a clip of Dijon Taylor herself, a little clip. And again, I'll put these links in the description so you can watch the whole CBS interview of her when they interviewed her. And also, I'm going to have a clip of Mrs. Novak. I thought that was really good testimony. And then I'll have a couple of other clips as we move along. And then we will do that. Hopefully that gave you a good insight into Ebony Parker and Dijon Taylor, which is the mother. I thought it could help put things in perspective, into context of background on those two figures in this just bizarre, shocking case. A 6-year-old getting a gun and shooting his teacher. What do y'all think about that? I mean, isn't this crazy? What do you think about the mother? I just gave you a little rundown um, of her. Should she have gotten more time? Uh, what, I think she served, what, 2 years? Is that what it was saying? Something to that effect. She did that. Now she's on probation. Says she's schizophrenic, bouts of schizophrenia, depression, and all of this. I don't even know if they were just using that. You know how defense attorneys do. So I don't know. I didn't watch her try. I think federal cases, you just have to read the transcripts of the trial that she went on. But should she have gotten more time? I think she should have. My opinion is because Mrs. Warner, Abby, could have been killed. Now she's walking around and she's got a bullet still in her chest, close to her heart and close to an artery. This woman, knowing her son, and we just read that he has gotten into her purse twice. And once he crashed her car. He's 6 years old. He knew how to put the keys in there, start the car up, and whatever the heck he was doing, and crashes her car. And she leaves a gun in there and then claims it was locked and claims she had a key, which the ATF people could not find it. So this woman had, if it's true she's schizophrenic and has all these disorders, my God. What do we need obviously we need a better job. What, do people who go file an application to buy a weapon needs to be drug tested? I don't know. Apparently there was no, either if they ran a background check on her, which I didn't deep dive into that either, guys. Well, I'm just coming up with this off the cuff. Do they get to go look into her psychological, or does she have, was she taking medicine for her schizophrenia? Do when you go apply for a gun, do they get to get access to your, if you've been to see a therapist or a psychiatrist or whatever, this kind of stuff? This all could be questionable because of privacy rights and things. But good God, if somebody's suffering from all these kinds of disorders, I think that the state should have a right to know, right? If you're applying for a weapon. But again, I'm going to have some clips. I'm just letting the trial kind of play here so you have something to look at while I'm just yapping. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the chain of events leading up to Abby Zawarner's shooting. And there's going to be a timeline here too. So the timelines are important, and this is just a crash of the few days of the trial and things of that nature. So the shooting occurred on January 6, 2023 at Ridgeneck Elementary School in Newport News, Virginia. And when I said earlier I went to Francis Asbury in Hampton, that is Hampton, Virginia, by the way. So... and my folks had lived in Newport News, and both of my parents have passed away now, but they had a home off of Jefferson. It was a nice, quaint little neighborhood. A lot of older folks lived there. It was nice. It was a nice little house for them. They lived there for a few years. We did live down in Fox Hill for years, and then they sold. Dad wanted to sell the house because, God, every time a hurricane came in or a bad storm, the whole area would flood. And then one year it flooded so bad it got all up under the house. He had to change out all the ductwork, all the insulation. He was just tired of it. And plus, my folks were in their older years at that time. And so they ended up eventually selling, which is a shame because we did love that neighborhood down there. And it's a shame, though. It really was. So, she was a first grader and she was seriously injured by a 6-year-old student referred to as JT. The incident stemmed from a series of behavioral issues with the student who ignored warnings about a potential weapon and administrators in action below. And then we're going to look at the chronological order of the chain of events. So this is interesting. I found this very interesting. So prior to the event, which now we're in 2021, the student allegedly attacked a previous teacher by locking his forearms around her neck and pulling her backwards, lending to his transfer to another school. This established a pattern of behavior. Good Lord. So he's 5 at this time, and he's attacking the teacher and doing this kind of stuff. Now, look, I had a family member when we were younger. He acted out in class. I'm not going to say who it is. And I think he was in first or second grade at the time. He might have been in first grade. God, this is a long time ago. He acted out in class. I think he threw a desk or something, and he's just disruptive in class. They pulled him out of the whole school system. He had to go to some special place. Right, totally. They didn't just transfer him to another school. And this was back in the 70s. So I don't know what's going on here. So they remove him from that school and put him in the rich school, the rich next school. Really? So just changing environment could help. I think a whole completely different environment that is structured to tailor to kids who have these kind of violent outbursts where there could be more one-on-one and attention. That's just my opinion. Now, this is a week before the shooting, late December 2022. The student initially slammed and broke Mrs. Zawarner's cell phone during class, resulting in a 1-day suspension. He returned to school on January 6th, 2023, the day of the shooting. The student's mother later claimed it was an accident. And this is where we are going to look at let me get this together for you. This is the mother, Dejon Taylor. She's on CBS, and this is her explanation of the incident we just read about. He initially slammed and broke Abby's phone.
He ended up getting suspended the next day because he was in class. He was trying to tell her something, and she asked him to go sit back down. He threw his arms up. He said, fine. And when he threw his arms up, he knocked her phone out of her hand on accident, and he got suspended for that.
Zwerner did not.
Okay. Well, so he comes home and he tells her this. Now, he's 6 years old, keep in mind. So his view of the story, when did we ever believe everything that comes out of the mouth of our kids, right? Like, he just wanted to talk to her. He just got upset because she told him to sit down. So he threw his arms up in the air and it just knocked the phone out of her hand? What? So what is she saying? So now he felt disrespected. He's 6 years old. He's already feeling disrespected by the teacher. I don't know. I just thought it was a little odd how she represented this, but you can tell me what you think. That this is her interpretation and she's believing what her kid says. Her kid's already has a history of violent behavior. So she's just saying, oh, he just came up and he just wanted to talk to her. That's all. And that's her explanation. That's crazy. All right, let's continue. So now we're moving to the morning of January 6, 2023. And let's get rid of these stupid commercials because, wow, it's unbelievable, isn't it? I'm so sorry. I keep saying I need to get some premium. I need some premium. Okay, so Now pay attention to this timeline. It's 11:15 to 11:30 a.m. on January 6th. Zawarner alerted school administrators, including assistant principal Ebony Parker, that the student had threatened to beat up another student. This was the first of multiple warnings about his concerning behavior. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that he just came off of being suspended. So the school staff knows. They have records of him from the other school that he was just at, putting another teacher in a stranglehold. Now, I know he's 5, but still, that's some serious stuff, man. That's some violent behavior from a little kid. And so now he breaks her phone. He gets suspended. He comes back. The day he comes back, he's wanting to beat up some other kid. He should, my opinion, knowing his background and what he just did, coming back from suspension, he should have immediately been pulled from the class, and the mom should have been called immediately. So he should have been sitting in the office, and you need to come get him. You need to come get him. Because obviously whatever the mom did while he's suspended didn't do no good, or if she spanked him butt, I don't know how she's disciplining him. I have no idea. I have no idea. So this happens between 11:15 and 11:30 a.m. that morning. So now we're moving into 12 to 1 p.m. Okay? 3 additional staff members, including a counselor, a reading specialist, and another teacher, separately warned Parker that the student might have a gun in his backpack. Now, even if Miss Parker thought, well, surely he probably doesn't have a gun, it's probably a play gun. And then you're going to hear some testimony where she said, well, because somebody said, well, he pulled something out of his backpack before he went on the playground, with the backpack being in the classroom. And she said, she made a comment that, his pockets are too small. And then somebody says, well, he has a jacket on. So, I don't know. Even up to this point, something should have already been done just in the first incident of him threatening to beat up another kid. Because then these other children are in harm's way being around this disruptive child, right? I mean, he could actually hurt another kid, pop them in the nose, break their nose, whatever, pick something up, throw it. Who knows? Specific concerns included his bulging backpack, fidgetive movements, and reports that he had said, I got a gun today. Parker dismissed these as not credible and did not search the student or remove him from class or call law enforcement. Despite having authority to do so, Zawarner texted a colleague, reading specialist Amy Kovac, after seeing the student pull something from his backpack, assuming it would be relayed to Parker. Now, Mrs. Amy Kovac has like 23 years or so experience in teaching. Abby Zawarner has like 2.5, 3 years experience. So she's still a young teacher. So now we're going to look at Mrs. Kovac's testimony. I thought this was really good testimony, by the way. I thought it was compelling.
I can stand right there. Thank you very much.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in up here?
I do.
Come on, see.
Just watch this guy.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Kovac. Can you state your name for the jury, please, and spell it for the court reporter?
Sure. Amy Kovac, AMYKOVAC,
Thank you. And Ms. Kovac, can you tell the jury, how are you currently employed?
with Newport News Public Schools as a reading specialist.
How long have you been employed in that fashion?
12 years now as a reading specialist, but with Newport News for 23 years, and then 10 years before in King and Queen, so 33 years
As a teacher?
Oh, wow.
as a teacher.
And you're familiar with Abby Zwerner, correct?
Correct.
Okay. How do you know her?
From Rich Neck Elementary.
Did you two work together?
Yes.
And Amy, I want to turn your attention to January 6, 2023. Do you recall that date?
Yes, I do.
And how were you working on that day?
So that day, we had come back from Christmas break, and the state of Virginia has growth assessment tests. And right before Christmas, we had taken the winter growth state test, and I was the proctor. We were making up students that hadn't taken it before Christmas, so that's what I was doing on that day.
Okay, this is important that she brought up the testing. So apparently the vice principal, Ebony Parker, is in her office at her computer. And later on, if you watch it, the defense wants to. They're describing the way the office is set up. I guess there's a communal area where people will come in and their copiers in there and the fax machine or whatever. So it's communal, and there's different entrances to the to her office. So the defense is going to say, well, the testing was going on. And this is crazy to me, right? That they would because they're going to bring this up later out through all the testimony, but we're just cramming through it right now, right? So you don't have to. So they're gonna say, well, wasn't she busy with two other students who had been misbehaved or whatever, and she was focused on the computer because of the testing? And I guess there's something that nobody can be messing and fudging with the numbers. I get it, but she could lock her computer screen. But to insinuate that she's too busy, right? So you need to keep this in mind. Because of the testing going on, and she's dealing with other students, right? Because she has to wear all these different hats that, because a lot of the testimony will be, well, she didn't look up at me when I walked in and told her this. She didn't allow us to go and search the boy's person. But she ends up going and searching the backpack. But she searched the backpack after the boy went on the playground. So there was obviously, we're going to get to that because obviously nothing was in the backpack. But I wanted to bring up the point to you guys that the defense is using that to insinuate that Mrs. Parker is just too busy. And in hindsight, who would think that the 6-year-old's going to have a weapon at school? So they're minimizing the impact of Parker's involvement. And they're going to insinuate that it was a joint effort from all the teachers and Mrs. Parker to work together to deal with this problem. So what they're saying is that there's room to blame, that the teachers are to blame, Mrs. Zawarner's to blame, and not just Ebony Parker's to blame because the weapon wasn't found and somebody got shot. It's insane to me that you're going to use this as an excuse to say, well, she's just too busy to basically get off her ass out of the front of that computer. And you'll hear some other testimony. I forgot the woman's name, but I'm going to pull it up here momentarily. That she's going to say, well, she could have, because the defense is like, well, wasn't she this test and it's important and blah, 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 blah. She said, well, hell, she could have just, locked the screen and then gone and did something, basically. So I just wanted you to keep that in mind, that this is part of the defense. So that was an important key. What she just said is that this important testing's going on. Okay.
Were you the only proctor that day for the testing?
I was the only proctor, but Laura Harris was the examiner, so we were together.
And do you recall how many students were testing that day?
So there were 3 groups. The first group was like some special ed students and 5th graders together. The second group was 4th, and then the last group was 3rd, and there was about no more than 10 per session.
Okay. And on that day, were you working closely with Dr. Parker while you were doing the testing?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury what did that look like? What was the responsibilities?
So the responsibilities, and again, I've been in a couple of other schools since that day. Usually the AP did the testing, which would have been like preparing the testing tickets, making sure they had accommodations if they had like, audio and needed headphones, having a testing box for each session, which had pencils, scrap paper, things like that. And then she would have had to start the testing session from her computer. So it really probably should have all been prepared ahead of time for the most part, because when Laura and myself would come in and sign off, the folders were ready.
So you were getting the folders that had already been prepared by Dr. Parker for testing?
Yes,
Okay. And just so the jury knows, what does AP stand for?
assistant principal.
Thank you. And was there a time that you encountered JT that day on January 6th? And we're referring to the student as JT for purposes of today.
Okay, yes. As he was coming out of lunch, I was coming out of Dr. Parker's office because we had finished our second session, and I was heading down to my office to get ready to have lunch before we had to test again at 1 o'clock. And so as I was coming out, Abby and her class were coming from the cafeteria. I had stopped at the cross section where the bathroom is, and he saw me and he ran up to me to give me a hug. I had already been aware that he was having a difficult time at lunch.
And let me pause you right there. Can you tell me, how were you aware that he had had a difficult time at lunch?
Ms. Warner had come into Dr. Parker's office, and she spoke to her and told her that he had already threatened a kindergartner during lunch, and also was, I guess, being aggressive with the security officer. And I was in the office when we were turning back the tickets and seeing what time we had to test next.
Well, the security officer part of it wasn't in the log I had just read to you earlier, but again, red flag, number one. We can count the red flags. Red flag number one, he was threatening other children and acting cray-cray.
So just so the jury understands, who was in the office at that time when Abby came into the office?
Dr. Parker, myself, and Laura Harris, the special ed teacher.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury the interactions between Dr. Parker and Abby on that day, that morning?
So that morning, while we were in there at that time, Abby came in and was standing there like waiting to be recognized. She never was recognized by Dr. Parker. She didn't look up. She didn't look at her.
When you say she, who are you referring to?
Dr. Parker.
Thank you.
Didn't look at her. Abby did say, about the threatening the kindergartner, and already, he was aggressive kind of with the security officer. And then she left because she had to pick up her kids, and it was like 11:45.
Can you
And that's going to be a pattern with her, is saying that Mrs. Parker just didn't even acknowledge her, didn't even look up at her, didn't do this, didn't do that. Like, damn.
tell the jury, state whether or not you know if Dr. Parker heard Abby, Miss Warner, that day?
Yeah, she heard. She told me I could tell her that she could call his mom at any time to come pick him up.
So if he was continuing to act out violent, I guess what did you take that as?
Well, I took it as like if she continued to have problems, then Abby could call the mom.
But
Even
she
though-
didn't tell Abby that, and you're referring to Miss Warner, correct?
Correct.
And she didn't tell her that.
She did not. I did.
So when you're going to tell Abby, you encounter JT.
Correct. He came up to me. He saw me. He was happy. He saw me, ran up to me, gave me a hug. I already knew that he was being, aggressive and, wild. And so I had told him, I'm like, hey, buddy, are you having a good day? And he was like, yeah. So, okay, well, make good choices, make Mrs. Kovac proud.
And then where do you go from there?
So from there, the rest of the class was walking down, so I just waited. And then I'm heading to my office. So Abby's room is the last room on the left. There were double doors, and then my office was straight ahead in the second grade wing. So I was heading down there to have lunch before I had to test again. And at that time, 2 little girls came out of Abby's room to the doorway while I was still in the hall and told me that JT had a gun in his bag.
So what did you do at that point?
Number two, red flag.
So at that point, I was like, oh, I walked in and I went straight to him. I was focused straight on him. Abby was kind of coming in and getting the kids settled from, lunch and getting ready for the next activity. I went straight to him. He was in a desk by the windows on the left side of the room, and he was like balled up in his seat, and that is not normal for him. So I pulled up a chair next to him and I was like, hey buddy, what's going on? The girls tell me you have a gun in the bag. And I said, can I have that bag? Because typically he's throwing that bag. I carry that bag. you know, we're in and out. His mom carries the bag sometimes. So it was sitting right next to him on this desk, and he's balled up. I said, okay, can I have the bag? And he said, no, no one is getting that bag. That was out of character for him. And he was sitting right by it. So then he sat there quiet for a little.
Now, this is going to come back later in other testimony. Now, I'm not going to go through every witness, but just this is something to point out, is that the defense is going to say, well, why didn't you search the bag right then and there? They're going to bring that up.
Bit, and he started talking. I was quiet. He started talking. He said, people are picking on my friend. R. I don't know if I could say his name, but anyway.
Yes, don't say any minor names. Thank you.
So he was picking on my friend R, and I was thinking to myself, ooh, you have a little friend already. But he said people are picking on him. So I told him, I said, well, let me tell you how school works. If R has a problem, he can tell his teacher, he could come tell me, he could go tell anybody. If you have a problem, you can tell me, you can tell Ms. Warner, you could tell an adult. And so I said, you know, we have to worry about ourselves. And so he's sitting there, and I said again, do you have a gun in that bag? And he said, no one is getting that bag. And I was like, okay. Then Ms. Warner called them to the carpet. He came. I came and sat right next to him. Again, the board is in the front. He sat on the corner here. I sat next to him, and he was facing that bag. And so we did the lesson, and he was still sitting there. And then he started telling me, he said, I got new shoes on, red and black Nikes. And I was like, oh, I like those. He said, but I have to go change my shoes at lunchtime because these are new. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay. So we did the lesson. Ms. Warner got up and modeled what they were doing, and she told him what they need. He said, I need scissors and a pencil. I was like, oh, buddy, you're not getting any scissors, because heaven knows what he would do with those. I said the lesson did not require any, scissors. So then I went to Ms. Warner.
Yes, and Ms. Kovac, let me just ask, as you're describing this, so at some point you do speak to Ms. Warner.
Yes, right then,
and
afterwards.
Do you tell her that you're going to go see Dr. Parker?
Yes. Well, what I told her first was, I asked her when recess was. She said in 10 minutes. I said, okay, I'm going to go and I'll come back in 10 minutes to check the bag. But at that point, as soon as I left, I went and reported to Dr. Parker that the girls had reported to me that there was a possible gun. I went and sat with him. I talked with him. I told her what I had done.
And let me pause you before we get into exactly what you told Dr. Parker. So before you go down to Dr. Parker's office, do you tell Abby that there's a concern about something at this point?
Yes.
And you advise her that you're going to find Dr. Parker and talk to her?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you tell Abby to keep an eye on him until you came back?
Yes. Well,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now walk the jury through. At this point, you're going back down to Dr. Parker's office. Is she still sitting at her desk?
Yes.
Okay. What do you tell her at that time?
So at that time.
Well, the defense is also going to bring up, well, Mrs. Warner was made aware by Kovac that the boy may have a gun in his backpack because 2 other students told her. But she's going to take the stand, Abby is, and she's going to say, I trusted Mrs. Novak. Mrs. Novak was handling it because she has 20, 30 years experience. She goes and tells Mrs. Parker. So she goes and tells Mrs. Parker, 2 students just said, he may have a gun. There you go.
I go up to her and I tell her that the girls reported about a gun, that I was in there. He would not give me the bag. He was not acting normal. And so I told her that when Abby's going out to recess in like 10 minutes, that I would be back to check the bag.
And so then, Ms. Kovac, did Dr. Parker respond to you or give you any direction?
She just kind of nodded and acknowledged that was what I was going to do.
Okay, so you let her know, I'm going to check the backpack.
Yes.
And she nodded her head.
Yes.
Okay.
She was aware.
Do
of
you then
everything.
go directly back to check the backpack?
No, because I was now waiting, for them to go to recess.
Okay.
So I left her office, was heading back down to my office. When I got to my office, I looked at my cell phone. Abby had texted me and said that they were now outside, but he had gone to his book bag and took something out of his book bag and put it in his jacket pocket.
Oh,
So
Did Abby
I think that's red flag number 3. He pulled something out of his backpack.
tell you what she thought that was, or what did you think that meant?
to me, it felt like it was whatever he had, like the gun.
So what do you do once you hear that
That's
So
response?
after I
Speculation.
hear that, I go right to Abby's room and I'm checking that bag. Because again, he was acting really weird, And I checked that bag and I knew it wouldn't be there because Abby pretty much told me something he put into his jacket pocket. So I checked the bag. There was a math book in there. There was a homework book in there. There was a little Spider-Man puzzle that we had made in small group that was there. He had a gold, like, little coin tokens, from like Happy Meal or something. And then in the front pocket, he had a calculator. He had not been getting math in his modified schedule. And he always wanted me, when we did reading, to do something. I taught him how to write hello on the calculator upside down.
So at that time, you've searched the bag yourself.
Yes.
Do you then go back to Dr. Parker's office?
Yes, I do.
And is Dr. Parker still sitting at her desk in her office at that time?
Yes, she is.
Is there anyone else in her office?
Not that I recall.
Okay. What do you tell Dr. Parker at this time?
So again, I tell her that I went and checked the bag. I told her just what I said to you all, what was in the bag. And then I also tell her that Abby texted me that they were out at recess, that he took something from the bag and he put it in his pocket.
Did you tell her you thought it could be a gun?
I told her that I reported that it was a gun. The whole time I assumed she thought it was a gun because that's what the girls reported, and I went and reported to her.
And what did she say in response to you when you said he put it in his pocket?
She did say that, he has little pockets.
Oh.
And I said he put it in his jacket pocket. And I was kind of mad, and I walked away because I have testing. So I went down and went outside to check on Abby and to check on JT to see if he would come to me. At that time, when I get out there, talk to Abby, she said she overheard R, or you heard J, she overheard R say, keep your hands in your pocket. Don't take your hands out of your pocket.
So do you then go back in and tell Dr. Parker about that, what you saw, the encounter on the playground?
So, yes, I told her that. I also...
And let me ask you,
okay.
Ms. Kovacs, so you tell her that. At that point, do you stress to her that you feel like there's something in his pocket, that he has a jacket on?
Yes, I do. I feel like he did something. He took something. There's something.
And you
He was
weren't
just-
wavering in your statement to her that you thought he had something that was concerning that could be a gun.
Correct.
And when you go to testing, do you let Dr. Parker know, I'm going to testing, and Dr. Parker says, okay, and does she respond to you? Do you feel like at that point she's going to deal with the situation while you go to testing?
Well, I felt like the whole time she would have dealt with the situation. She was sitting right there by her phone.
So did you think she was dealing with this situation
I did until nothing happened when I
at
had
the end
gone
of the
out.
day?
Yeah. Well, nothing had happened up to that point. You know what I mean? And then I did have state testing. So she is my boss. I went and did state testing.
And
with
once you
Laura.
went to go do state testing, is she relieved from her duties at that point with state testing?
For the most part, unless like a computer won't start or something, she'll reset it on her computer. But again, it's like a push of a button. And then when we bring the testing papers back, we usually sign them off, and then she'll do whatever she needs to do to get them to say that we're done. I'm not.
See, I think this is important that they're bringing this up because the defense is going to say, well, Mrs. Parker was busy. And she doesn't have hindsight 2020, that this is just a legitimate threat, which I think is an absurd defense, but what else do they have? So I think this is why she's asking these questions like, well, what is entailing for Parker? I mean, is she so engulfed that she just can't leave her computer to go see if some kid has a gun, right? So this is all going to come up through all the different testimony. The defense's viewpoint is that, well, you'll see in a moment where they're going to talk about the setting of how the office was set, because she's not doing anything. Remember, she said earlier she didn't even acknowledge Abby when Abby came in to tell her the kid was threatening another kid. She didn't even look up at her. Oh, because the defense is going to say, well, she was just busy, right? Was she looking at the computer or where the doorway was? She would have to turn to look at you like this. Well, I would think you would want to acknowledge somebody. I don't know. Maybe this is the way she does all the time. This is normal behavior for Mrs. Parker to just go, while she's still goofing on the computer. I'm just wrapped up into what I'm doing. So this is part of the defense, but it's the prosecution. She's on this. Novak is on direct right now.
Really sure of that part. But we never made it back that day for the third testing to turn in the papers.
So what did you understand the protocol was on that day when you...
Report to administrator,
And who did you report it to?
Dr. Ebony Parker, several times.
Now that's going to be a reoccurring effect through the prosecution. Is they're trying to establish that it's Parker's responsibility. But the defense is going to try to establish it was a shared responsibility, because they're going to throw her under the bus and they're going to throw Abby under the bus. They're going to say, well, why didn't you check the backpack right then and there? Like blaming her, right? But she said, I went and told her. So why didn't Miss Parker, this is hypothetical, when she went down and said, when Novak went down and said, well, I'm going to go look through his backpack. Well, shouldn't Miss Parker say, well, you know what? I'm going to go with you. Let's go. Okay, well, hey, Abby just texted me and said he put something in his pocket. Let's go check the backpack and then let's go outside and search him. Nope. To me, I'm thinking that's illogical. Yeah, everything's hindsight 2020, right? But legitimately, I mean, a lot of times if a kid just draws a creepy picture, the parents get called and going, what's this? You know, this is kind of disturbing. He's drawing guns and he's doing this, just drawing a gun. This is actual, other children are saying, he has a gun. We saw it.
And when you went to go do testing, you left that information with Dr. Parker, correct?
Correct. That was all before testing.
Okay.
Oh, and let me point out, when I said the two girls said, yeah, he has a gun, Miss Novak goes and tells Parker about it. Miss Parker should have immediately got up and went, even though she's thinking, yeah, he probably doesn't have it, but I got to go check this out. And get up and go look. This did not happen. What do you think? Do you think she should have just got up immediately when Miss Novak walked in and said, hey, two kids just told me JT has a gun. They're scared.
Of the last group, we had already done two sets before lunch.
And when you're in testing, at that time, you don't see Dr. Parker again,
If you don't know, that's Ebony Parker right there.
or Miss Warner, do you?
No.
Okay. Not until the end of the day.
Yes, not until 2 o'clock.
Okay. Did you feel any assurances after you searched JT's backpack?
No. Again, he was acting so weird.
And did you tell Dr. Parker that?
Yes. Like he was curled up. He likes to talk. So usually, you know, he'd be talking or running around. That bag, we carried it around, you know. His mom usually brings it in that week. She was bringing it in, getting settled. That was a week without, you know, mom attending school or dad attending school with him.
And so,
I checked in on him. I checked in on Abby several times the days that he was there.
so when you're talking to her, do you feel that you explained to Dr. Parker that you feel this is a serious threat?
I thought so.
Okay. You were very clear that you kept going back to look and do
Yes.
things.
Yes.
And when you went to go testing, you told Dr. Parker at that point he's still at recess.
Yes,
And he has a jacket on.
yes. And then I went outside to check to see if he would come to me. And again, I told Abby, you can call the mom at any time.
And remember, Mrs. Parker said, oh, his pockets are small. This is key. This is key. So she is dismissed that if he had a gun, his little bitty pockets, because he's 6 years old, can't hold a gun. And then Miss Novak says, well, he has a jacket on. That's
But
important.
at that time, he's not
He's
acting out or misbehaving.
No, he was behind the rock wall. I thought he would come to me.
Okay. So
He
we
had his hands
get
in his
to the
pocket.
end of the day, and do you hear
And that's Abby Zawiener. So Warner.
any?
my
Do
bad.
you hear a gunshot or sound of something that sounds like a gun?
Yes. So Laura and I had finished testing. We had been sending the kids down the hall as they finished. At 2 o'clock, both of us were walking down the hall, had left her room, which is in the second grade wing across from mine. So we came through there's like double doors. And at that point, I heard that gunshot. And instinctively, I walked into that room. As I come in the door, Abby's on this side. I see blood on her leg. So I knew she was hit. I wasn't really sure. On this side, I see Jen open the door, the kids screaming and running out. I felt like I had a bubble of God around me, and I walked straight to him. He was standing there with his legs kind of spread open, arms crossed, and cocky. And when I got to him, I didn't say anything. I took his wrist because I knew he shot with his left hand. I walked to Abby's desk where her phone was. I put him in between my legs, put my arms around him. I picked up the phone to call 911. Remembered you have to hit 911 to get out. I asked if this was 911. They said yes. I said, this is Rich Neck. A teacher's been shot. I have the shooter. Send help.
So
It's interesting. She said she knew he shot, so obviously he was left-handed. He shot with his left hand. That she instinctively knew to hold his left hand. What, for gun residue? That's what popped into my mind.
Amy, I'd like to read what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 4, please.
That's insane.
And can you share it with the jury at this time, please?
Objection to public.
So far, like I said, I'm going to put all these links in the description. You guys can go and zip through the testimony. I kind of wanted to speed this up, but I think for impact, I just wanted it to run regular. Do you think that it's shared blame? That she should have searched the backpack, or should right out the gate Parker should have came down immediately with somebody saying it's gun. Like, again, I was saying, it's such a cliche, like the day and age people say. But look, for Columbine, Park, all of these different shootings throughout the years in America, that should just, I thought it was zero tolerance protocol. As soon as somebody says gun, she should have got up immediately and taken care of it. That's my thought, my opinion. But do you think it's shared blame? Maybe some people would think it is. Like, well, did Abigail think she was in danger? She says she trusts Miss Novak that had reported that he may have a gun. Why didn't Mrs. Parker come down and do something about it right then and there? Right? Is it a shared blame? That's the defense.
Thank you. And this is what's been marked Plaintiff's Exhibit 4. We will be asking to have that submitted to your honor. If we can, play that, please. And Amy, can you see it in front of you?
I believe this is going to be the 911 call.
So Amy, who are you in this photo?
I'm on the
This
left
pic- this
side
video.
in like the red and black with
Okay.
the short hair.
Thank you. And you're walking under a sign that says leaving second grade. What hallway is that?
Second grade hallway.
Is that the first grade hallway you're walking into?
Yes.
If we can continue playing that. And if the jury can pay attention, there is a boy coming out of a classroom. Do you know whose classroom that is, Miss Kovac? Is that Miss West's classroom?
Yes.
Okay. And right now, what did you hear?
At that point, when I turned around, that's when we heard the gunshot.
Okay, you'll continue playing it. And who is that just came out of the classroom, if you know? Walking in the opposite direction, not across the hall, but down the hall.
I think.
Is that Miss Warner?
Did you? I'm sorry. I
It's
didn't
okay,
see
it's
it.
okay.
But yes, she left as soon as the kids were on my right side and she was on my left.
And she
And
was
I was facing him as I go into the door.
Okay, if you can continue playing that.
And I think the other one running out is Laura, because she originally had gone into the empty room next door. But when I walked in, I knew Laura would have Abby. Like I knew she was hurt, and I knew Laura was right there with me.
Dr. Parker was going to address the situation, correct?
Correct.
That's all the questions I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any cross-examination?
This one, thank you.
Oh, here we go.
Afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Hogan, can you come up to the lectern, please?
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do want to speed this up. So I want the other teacher that talked to R is good testimony too. We're going to try to get to
Let's
that.
go back. You've been working at Richneck for quite some time at the time that this incident happened, correct?
Yes, that was my 5th year.
And at Richneck, you had several roles. You
My
wore
role-
several different hats there when you were working there.
So my role was as reading specialist, which is a support person for the teachers to really get the best practices. If I had other roles, part of my job description is to do other duties as deemed by the administration.
One of those roles included being third in the chain of command in the crisis plan, correct?
Correct. I just recently saw that my name was all over that. Teachers do not get that crisis plan. Usually there's a PD done by the administration at the beginning of the school year.
And as the third in command at an elementary school, that would mean that the superiors above you would be the assistant principal and the principal, correct?
Correct.
So in their absence, that would mean that you would take charge and responsibility for the operations of the school.
With this administration and with the administration the year before, if I was third in command, they always left the number that if there was an emergency or a concern to call the principal at McIntosh, which is right across the street at Jefferson and Richneck.
Here we go. This is the defense's building a case that it's shared responsibility and is going to accuse her of why didn't you do something about it.
Let's go back. I want to focus on the day of the incident. You gave you a hug, right?
Yes, at the leaving lunch.
And the beginning of lunch? Or
No,
I'm
at
sorry.
the end. At the end of lunch.
So right at the end of lunch, he comes up, gives you a big hug.
Yes.
But at that stage, you have received information from Miss Warner.
That he was in the cafeteria. Yes.
Right. Well, prior to that, you were present when Miss Warner came and spoke to Dr. Parker.
Correct.
And at that stage, Miss Warner spoke to Dr. Parker and let him know that he was misbehaving. very much.
Correct.
And your testimony was that she didn't even look up.
Correct.
There was no response whatsoever.
No response. I thought it was rude.
You thought that it was rude.
Okay, and that sets up to where he has to explain, even with another witness later on. This is day one testimony, by the way. So he's going to explain for another witness to set up how the office looked, to justify her not looking at her, to justify her saying, well, Mrs. Parker, it came across as rude. She didn't even look up. Now, keep in mind, she had already said that Mrs. Parker didn't even acknowledge Warner when she came in to say, hey, he's threatening to beat up these other kids. And she still hadn't done nothing about that because she's too busy on the computer with the testing. And apparently there's some other kids who've been acting up. Man, this school, they've got a lot of kid problems. I think the 911 call is when they go to redirect. I think.
You agree that Laura Hare was present, right?
Correct.
She also witnessed what happened, right?
Correct.
This is why I like to speed things up, but this guy's voice
Do you recall?
is weird when it's going fast.
Let's back up.
Okay.
Just to understand your testimony today, Ms. Kovac,
Today, my testimony today?
just to be clear,
Yes.
you're testifying that Dr. Parker did not respond whatsoever.
She
when
did
Abby
not
said-
look up from her computer and say anything. She told me that I could tell Abby to call his mom and mom could come pick him up at any time.
And you recall that on this day, this is when annual testing was going on,
Correct.
right?
It was makeup testing. So it was not the whole school. It was not all the small groups. It was just 3 small groups to do makeup.
At the time Ms. Warner came into Dr. Parker's office, Dr. Parker was on her computer, correct?
She was sitting at it, yes.
Right, and the computer faces the door, so the screen faces the door.
Does it face the door? No, the door was here. She was here and the computer's here.
So she was not facing who would come through the front door,
I came through the office door.
but she would not be facing you when you entered that.
I sat like she was right here.
Understood.
I think this is all to justify or to cover up. Well, she's not being rude because she's looking at her computer. She would have to physically turn around, stop doing what she's doing, and literally acknowledge you. Well, yeah. What's going on, guys? Little Timmy's acting up again? JT? Oh, man. You think he's got a gun? They're saying he's got a gun. Well, hell, we better go do something about it. Nope, she didn't bring her head up from the computer. But this is the argument he's trying to make that, well, the way he's facing, that she couldn't see you. It's a justification of it, right?
Ms. Warner, when she came in, that encounter was very brief.
Yes.
She didn't linger. She didn't have a conversation. She
No.
was just in and out.
Correct, because Dr. Parker didn't look up at her, didn't acknowledge her, and she had to go get her kids. It was time that lunch had ended. She came in and reported that, he was threatening a kindergartner and then being like ornery with the security officer.
At that stage, she didn't report any threat of a firearm at that stage. A firearm, weapon, ammunition, nothing.
I'm not, at that moment, no. We
Correct.
did not know about a firearm or anything at that moment.
Right. The first time you learned.
Let me stop for a second. So apparently they have a security officer. And he's in the lunchroom. That's what I'm assuming what I just heard. She goes and says he's threatening a kindergartner, a little 5-year-old, and he got nasty with the security guard. Why didn't Miss Kovac, I'm just asking questions here, Miss Kovac, or obviously Mrs. Parker, since she's head honcho there, get on the walkie-talkie and say, hey, to the security officer, could you go down there and check that backpack? We've got some reports that there could be something in this boy's backpack. Can you just go check it out, please? And go ahead and bring him up to the office while you're at it. She wouldn't have had to leave her computer. Mrs. Parker's what I'm talking about. Apparently there's a security guard there. Get on the. I'm sure the security guard has a walkie-talkie. Apparently they're going to talk about some of them have a walkie. Why don't you say, hey, can you go check this out? Please, thank you. Can you go check out so and so in Mrs. Zawarner's room, please? She doesn't have to say weapon over the phone, over the walkie-talkie. Could you go? Could you go to Mrs. Zawarner's room and retrieve JT and his belongings?
About that was from 2 little girls who came out of her classroom?
Correct. They knew I was one of his teachers on the modified schedule.
And when you received that information, you interviewed those children? You spoke with them?
I spoke with them. I was like, okay. And I walked into that room.
Did you do any follow-up investigation with the children?
Not with the children. I went right to him
You
to
didn't-
do some kind, see what he could say and do, and
So-
try and get that bag.
And so you had information that from these 2 children
Correct.
that you did not speak to.
I
You
did speak to. They
you-
spoke to me, and I
You're
spoke
correct.
back.
You're correct. You didn't follow up to confirm the basis of their
I tried to
information.
follow up by getting that bag to see what was in it and talk to him and see what was going on.
So your focus was to go after that bag, right?
Yes, and him.
And
See
you-
what was going on.
Right. You had just been warned that this small child might have a firearm in an elementary school classroom. So you took immediate action, right?
Correct.
You went directly to him,
Correct.
right? And you sit down next to him, right?
Correct.
And you're within at least arm's reach, right?
Yes, but
You sat right beside him.
he was here, and I sat next to him. He was balled up. I wanted him to talk to see exactly what was going on.
And the backpack, he wasn't holding it.
No, it was on the side, but he had his body close to it.
So the backpack was next to him,
Correct.
right? And you were next to him as well.
Correct.
And you're the 3rd in command of that school, correct?
Not really, only when they're absent. I am not an administrator. I am a teacher with a specialized degree and certification in reading.
You're also not a 6-year-old child.
No, not at this time.
No, and so when you needed to, you've confiscated contraband from children before?
No.
Never. Never as a teacher have you ever confiscated any material from a student.
I mean, papers, homework, something out of their book bag, like money if the parents sent it in, picture day.
Don't elementary school teachers, aren't they in and out of school bags all the time?
Correct.
Right? That's pretty routine.
Again, we did not, knowing JT, his behavior, his actions, and the other children being in the room, I was not going to cause hysteria. I did what I did. I sat there trying to help him based on that relationship, and then I went and reported. And I can't help what somebody else did not do.
And before you did,
Boom. Again, I'm going to bring up the security guard. Now he's trying to insinuate, well, you're 3rd in command. But he's basically saying, why didn't you just snatch the bag from him and get out the gun? Or if there was a gun in it, why didn't you just get the bag and search it? She's saying she didn't want to cause a hysteria or a big problem and scare all the kids. Where is the security guard? Why didn't Mrs. Parker tell the security guard to escort her down to the room? I don't think she's went to Miss Parker yet at this point. She said she went and sat in, and then she went and told him. She went and told Miss Parker, he's acting weird. We think there's the 2 kids said something's in his bag. Again, where's the security guard? Why didn't he go with
did
her?
that.
Correct. Good.
When you were sitting next to that child,
Correct.
you could have just reached on over and
I
grabbed
could
the bag.
have, but I can't turn back and do anything that I did not do back then,
Right.
in retrospect.
In retrospect. In hindsight, you're not able to go back and change
Correct.
that decision.
Correct.
In his opening statements, he puts up actually to define hindsight. He shows this to the jury. So he's trying to plant doubt that it's a shared fault, I guess. Everybody's at fault because she didn't do nothing, Ms. Parker didn't do nothing, nobody did anything to do this because nobody thought that a 6-year-old would have a gun.
But you could have easily, especially
I don't know. I mean, I was trying to protect the children.
you were concerned about being overpowered by a 6-year-old child.
Oh,
Correct. If you knew him, you would be too.
Were you concerned about being out? Oh, you're indicating that he was a threat? Did you fear?
Not me. I did not fear him. We had a good relationship, him and I. But he is very wild, Administration used to let him talk on the walkie and run around in the office.
Didn't he hug you all the time and smile at you?
Sometimes, depending on his mood and what set him off on the school bus with
Weren't
any
you-
child.
Weren't you also closely involved in his students selection plan, student success plan?
I was,
The facilitator.
so the year before, Dr. Parker did not do her job. That was
That's not the question.
that was her job. I took over that year. Hold on.
Ms. Kovac, I've asked you a specific question.
Your Honor, I object to the student success plan. That's beyond scope of direct.
All right. Are you intending to get into that?
I think that I'm exploring her relationship with this student, and so I don't intend to go into the details of that plan, but it will still establish and give context for the jury to understand what's going on.
Right, I've allowed you to ask her whether or not she was involved with that, and she said yes, so I won't let you dig into any more than that.
Understood.
But establish that point, I'll allow.
Just a side note here. Doesn't the captain always go down with the ship? It's the leader. It's Mrs. Parker. I don't know. You never know what a jury's going to do, how they're absorbing all of this.
And I would just, on the record, also object to the relevancy of the January 6th date of offense on this, but I understand.
And I think he's going for the link up with the relationship, and I'll allow you to explore the relationship, but that's it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
But whether in that role, as a reading specialist, otherwise at the school, you had experience dealing with children and having to discipline them.
As a regular classroom teacher, and then, if I'm in the classroom, part of my job is co-teaching or modeling.
And when you're doing that, you also have to discipline students occasionally. If they
Correct.
become disruptive, if they don't listen to you.
Correct. So usually I would follow the teacher's, behavior plan and the consequences because the teacher is the one in charge. Sometimes I would pull the kids and just talk to them, see what's going on. A lot of times, there's different things that happen. They might be mad at another person because they looked at them, or they come from home upset. So yes, I've done discipline based on the teacher's plan, and when I was a teacher, based on my plan.
And throughout all that experience, you've searched numerous backpacks.
No, not really. Only if the parent had pretty much said, there's money in there, there's a library book in there, their homework is in there, it hasn't been turned in.
If you ever suspected that they had something that didn't belong to them, you would just tell them, go get me that book bag. You get that book bag, right?
It depends on what the situation was. In this situation, I did not feel comfortable because I did not know what his reaction would be.
Well, when you were speaking to JT, isn't it true you thought, if anything, he had a toy gun?
That was my own personal thoughts, and I told that to HR. I never told it to Parker because I would not put it past him. But just like any public school, we take children how they come, and we do not know what their home life is like.
You said you wouldn't put it past him. You mean JT?
JT, correct.
You think that he set you up?
I feel looking back, he did set me up or somebody up.
I'm going to object to the relevancy of that question.
All right, and what's the relevance of that?
The relevancy is, I think it's conditionally relevant, Judge, and I can lay the foundation for this. I
Okay.
can
All right, I'll withhold a ruling if you can lay some foundation.
specifically, Ms. Kovac, you've testified that when you were speaking to JT and you were in Ms. Warner's classroom,
Correct.
you had, at that stage, sitting next to that child, received a report that he might have a potentially deadly weapon on him, right?
Correct.
And with that knowledge, your next step was to ask for his permission to search his backpack, right?
But if he had a gun in there, I wasn't going to take that out.
You said, no, you would leave it there and continue to teach a lesson in front of those
I
students.
sat with them in there, with him away from his book bag.
And then you go and you speak to Abby, Miss
I
Warner.
go to, yes, to ask her when recess is, yes.
Right.
And then I leave there and I go and report.
But before that happens, JT tells you, Miss Kovac,
Yeah,
I have some shoes that I need for recess.
correct,
I need to get into that backpack later. He tells you that.
correct.
At that stage, and you have that knowledge, you know that he might have a deadly weapon in that backpack. He has told you he intends to access that backpack, and you leave the room, correct?
I leave the room, but I did not think about him having those shoes in the bag. That was in retrospect after all of this has happened.
You didn't think about that because you were tricked.
I was focused on him.
He set you up. is what
That's
you-
how I felt
Judge,
in
I'm gonna
retrospect.
object. A 6-year-old, I think we've already gone over this in the past, can't have the intent here. We're talking about setting her up. It's out of,
Your Honor, I can
But
respond.
no, it was her words, so I'm going to overrule the objection.
it was the attorney's words to her, Judge.
And
but-
she agreed. So go ahead.
She said
You're
retrospect.
telling the jury that you were tricked by a 6-year-old child.
He did not trick me. I thought of that on my own several weeks
All
after.
by yourself. You
Correct.
Thought that. Very good.
Correct.
Wow.
In retrospect.
Man, he is condescending. That, damn, he's like all by yourself. I already do not like this guy. I don't like his cadence and his voice. And I wonder if the jury's picking up on it too. This guy is blaming her.
And his mother also, because she carries the book bag in. So I don't know what he was thinking.
And after you leave Mrs. Warner in the classroom, you left to go to testing, right?
No, I left to go to Dr. Parker.
That's correct. That's correct. You went and spoke to Dr. Parker. You let her know some of the information that you'd received. And then later you went and go and you speak to Mrs. Warner, right?
So I went back to my office and I got my phone, and Miss Warner had texted me to say that they were now outside. And again, I left my office. I went to Miss Warner's room. I checked his bag, which she had texted me that he took something from his bag and put it in his pocket. After I checked the bag, I went back to Dr. Parker
Ms.
and
Kovac,
I told her.
I want to focus on the text messages. You said that at some stage Ms. Warner texted you and let you know that before recess, JT might have removed something from the backpack.
No. She texted me while they were heading out right after. And by the time I got that text, that's when I texted her and said, I'm going to check the bag. And then I went back to Dr. Parker.
At this point, keep in mind the defense is, Parker's defense is that it's a joint shared fault blame. But all of this is happening. She, even though she didn't go in the bag, she returns to Mrs. Parker and reports this. Mrs. Parker at this point still hasn't done nothing. Nothing to retrieve the kid, to go investigate. Send a security guard to get him. Oh, now he took something out of his bag. She tells Parker. It's reported he's taken something out of his bag. He put it in his coat pocket. When she goes to tell Parker he put something in his pocket, she says, oh, she just dismisses all of this by her own statement by saying, well, his pockets are too small. He has small pockets to some effect. No, he has a jacket on. Parker hasn't done anything. So this attorney is blaming Mrs. Novak. He's blaming her. Oh, so this 6-year-old tricked you? He conned you? He deceived you? Are you scared of him? You could have searched his bag. Haven't you searched other people's bags? Haven't you done this, done that? I think all of that is irrelevant because when she goes back to the office and tells Parker he was seen putting something in his coat pocket, his jacket pocket, Parker still hasn't done nothing. Nothing. So even though, yeah, maybe in hindsight is 2020, she could have just took the backpack from the little shit and then searched it, but she didn't. But there is no gunshots yet. There's nothing yet. There's still time to prevent this from Miss Parker. Keep that in mind. There's still time. No shots have been fired. Miss Parker's notified. He's seen putting something in his pocket. He's on the playground. Miss Parker still has done nothing.
And later you receive a text from Ms. Warner while she's on the playground, right?
That was the text I'm talking about.
Right. And it indicates, I think I saw JT remove something from that backpack, right?
Correct.
The backpack that you left in the classroom, right? The classroom full of children, right?
I left it there, correct?
You did leave it there, as well as Mrs. Warner with those children as well.
And again, those were the actions that we did that day, and I can't go back and change anything.
That is just insane. That is just insane that he's putting the blame on her. He's insinuating that this is her fault. In a moment, we're going to check out Mrs. West's testimony. Now, Mrs. West did testify before Mrs. Kovac. Now, we didn't I didn't play it all because this is eating up a lot of time. We're already an hour and a half into this, but I wanted you to get a taste of Mrs. Kovac's testimony because it's important for the overall when you start combining everything and seeing how the prosecution is forming its case and how what the defense is, how they're forming their defense for Mrs. Parker, which is shared blame and that blaming her. Well, this kid, would he trick you? You were fooled by a 6-year-old and stuff. And, I'm sure she was upset about that. But anyway, I don't know how the jury's buying this. But in my mind, yeah, okay. He made some points there that she could have just snatched up the backpack, but she didn't want to cause a ruckus is what she's claiming. She's never had to deal with anything like this before because they're elementary school students. Usually it's a high school that this issue's been a problem. So now, guess what, guys? So probably now they're going to implement things in place that any kids doing this, they're going to immediately jump on it because they don't want this to happen again, right? But for me, my thing is that I think Mrs. Parker should have got up immediately and got the security guard and walked down and checked it out. Just took 5 minutes. Walk away from the computer. 5 minutes. Took 5 minutes. None of this would have happened. None of this would have happened. So where we left off when I was reading was from 12 to 1, and that's with Mrs. Kovac. After seeing the student pulling something from his backpack, because Abby texted her and told her this, and that after seeing the student pull something from his backpack, assuming it would be relayed to Parker. So that's setting up that Abby's relying on Mrs. Kovac to relay this information to Mrs. Parker, and that something's going to be done about it. So now we're at 1 to 1:58 p.m. The student returned from recess and approached Zamormer, who was seated at a reading table with other students. He pulled a 9mm automatic pistol loaded 8 rounds. I think we did go over that, and I talked about before when we read about Mrs. Parker. She's being charged for each bullet that was left in the gun. And describing to you how the bullet passed through. So this is the immediate aftermath. It's at 1:58 now. So keep in mind, all of this time has passed and nothing was done by Parker. But her defense is saying everybody else should have done something. You should have done something. No, you should have done something. You should have done something. That's what it sounds like to me. Okay, but immediate aftermath. Warner collapsed, believing she was dying already dead. I thought I was on my way to heaven. A reading specialist, Amy Kovac, entered the room, saw blood on Zimmerman's leg, and restrained the student, who stood cocky with his arms crossed. The student reportedly confessed, saying, "I did it." I believe we read that too. And the summary, Abigail, she's suing her for $40 million, civil lawsuit against former assistant principal Ebony Parker, originally filed against the school district and others, but proceedings only against Parker after settlements. So, wow. So there was some settlement with the school. Newport News Circuit Court, the trial expected to last up to 8 days, accusing Parker of gross negligence of ignoring the warnings as of October 31st, with proceedings resuming November 3rd. Plaintiffs have rested their case, and I believe we read that too. Like, we watched some videos, and now I'm trying to remember back what I read. Bear with me, please. So we did read the first day, so Witnesses included the HR director and retired chief, corporal. And then some of this testimony I'm going to show you right now because I think it's relevant that Mrs. West, what she had to say and who she encountered with another student, and then going and relaying these messages back to Parker. So this is why I'm not with the blame game, because Mrs. Parker had so much information and that could have done something about it. We're going to go ahead and finish up the reading here. Family and psychological impact. Zawarmer's twins. She has a twin sister, Hannah. She delivered a tearfully testimony saying Abby was once full of light, and then basically she was saying that Abby's changed. So the prosecution is setting up to where this is life changing for her, and it is. And it truly is, that she's suffering from PTSD. God, a 6-year-old shoots you and you thought you were going to die. She still got a bullet in her chest. So obviously, yeah, she has some post-trauma syndrome. The defense is going to get up and go, well, you text Taylor Swift, but you wanted Taylor Swift not to make it public because you want to keep your life private. You did go to a concert. Well, her twin sister got on the stage and said something to the effect of like, yeah, we did go out to some places, but it wasn't like it was before, right? So the defense is trying to say, is she just making this shit up? I mean, this is ridiculous. I guess whatever defense does she have? I mean, while I'm watching this and listening to it, I'm like, are you kidding me? The jury's already seen testimony from the hand doctor, because her hand is jacked, y'all. It is jacked. Her hand is just tore up. Here's a quick image of her, of where the bullet is. Let me see if I can get myself out of the way here. So you could see that the bullet is right there. And he's going to tell you it's near a main artery in the body and near her heart. And also, it cracked her rib. And then up in the right-hand corner here, you can see where all the bullet fragments are. This is some serious stuff. Good Lord. And here we have some images of her hand. Okay, so look at this. Let me move that on there. That's not going to let me do that. Maybe I can do it like this. Okay, so just look at her hand. It's her left hand. And look at the damage. Look at the damage. Now, this was just one image. There were some other images where they were showing what they had to do to her wrist. They had to, and look at this image here. All the prepare work they had to do. There was what was that other image of? Here it is, right here. Look at this. Look at the bone, the shattering of the bones. So they ended up having to take from both sides of her hip. She's had to have several surgeries. So one side of her hip bone, I guess they had to get some kind of, I don't know, whatever, some bone to help rebuild, or some kind of, so it would grow. So they had to take stuff from her hip, and then time went by, they had to do it again, and that she is in a lot of pain. It's insane. It's just insanity. So for the defense to get up, now I'm trying to condense this so you don't have to go watch, 20 hours of the trial that's been 3 days. We've got Monday, tomorrow coming up, and another day, a testimony. So in a nutshell, they had I guess he's some kind of psychiatrist or something, gets up and says, yeah, he evaluated her. She has, PTSD. Well, good Lord. I think any of us would have PTSD. She's saying she has dreams about it and this and this and that. She don't really like going anywhere, but But when her sister was up, she said, yeah, she loved to used to go places, and then after the event, she don't, but we've tried to get her out to go do stuff. So here comes the defense coming up and saying, well, you did go places. So they're trying to diminish her, which I can't believe the jury would even be buying this, right? Because the pictures I just showed you, they've seen all this evidence before the psychiatrist. I guess the psychiatrist comes out and then says all of this, and then they're just trying to discredit her. Abby gets up and takes the stand, and they're saying, well, did you go places? Did you do this? But then her sister had taken the stand and said, well, yeah, it's been different. It hasn't been without challenges taking her places. So apparently she had tried to be going to places, right? She's trying to get better. She's trying to do her therapy. She's trying to get out and do stuff, but she doesn't want to. She's become recluse. But the defense is trying to squash that, which I bet the jury's just not buying it, because I was like, oh my God, how could you say she's lying about her post-distress systems and that she just wants attention? What? The woman was shot by a 6-year-old and almost died. She's got a bullet still in her hand. We just saw a picture. Her hand is just jacked forever. She's probably going to end up having arthritis and all kinds of stuff. It's just beyond comprehension how this defense is just on my last damn nerve, obviously, as you could tell. So the psychology impact, her sister Hannah delivered tearful testimony saying Abby was once full of light, outgoing, and silly, and now she's reclusive, avoids going out. She's just not the same person, obviously. It's psychiatrist Dr. Clarence Watson, and I thought he was good. I really liked him. Now, y'all could go, like I said, I'm going to put these all in the description, but you can scroll through and find where he's at. Watch his testimony, because he did an outstanding job. We'd be here for 3 hours if I play all of these clips. He did an excellent job. He diagnosed her with PTSD, detaining nightmares, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and constant imminent threat feeling, while praising her mental health efforts. Chief of surgery at Riverside testified on the initial hospitalization. So they had like 3 different doctors. I think she had 2 hand doctors, 2 specialists that had to work on her hand. And then you had another doctor who dealt with, that might have been 2 doctors. You had one doctor who dealt with international surgery, and then you had the chief staff at Riverside. He was doing her care. And also the psychiatrist talked about not only her mental stat, but her physical stat. She has physical, everyday reminders of this incident just by her hand, and she's got a bullet hole on her left side. She's got a bullet hole on her chest. Now she's got scarring on both sides of her hips because they had to take bone scrapings or whatever they take. I'm not a doctor. I can't remember every little piece, so exactly specific of what they took out. You get the idea. They had to do this. And, she's just gone through hell, basically gone through hell. Now, this is saying day 4, but we haven't had a day 4. Zimmer, the final plaintiff's witness, recounted. No, she got on the stand. The shooting in detail, raising her hand initially, the bullets impacted, and thinking she thought she was dead. She's described it. And then it was brought up that she went to cosmetology school. She graduated in pain, but no job yet due to the healing. At least she was trying to do something. But again, the defense is trying to minimize her saying that she's got these. Oh, hell, they can't. How can they defend that she doesn't have any physical problems? I mean, she had these plates in her hand. I mean, she's having problems doing this. I mean, did she go out and take cosmetology school and trying to do something? That I guess that's fine. It keeps her mind occupied and off of it. I'm just not buying it that they're trying to downplay her contacting Taylor Swift, and then also her going after her sister by starting a GoFundMe. I didn't see a problem with that. I mean, the woman was almost killed. She was shot. She's got a bullet left in her. They probably do need some help. And the judge said that they couldn't bring up how much money they had got from the GoFundMe. But they could bring it up. And again, a lot of people who have tragedies in their family, life, or friends start a GoFundMe to help with expenses and things like that because she's not working. So I think the defense tried to go after that, which I'm not. Again, I don't think the jury's going to buy it. So we're done with that. So let's take a look at. I thought this lady's testimony was good. We're going to try to wrap this up. I know this has been long, but it's just too good. And like I said, it's wrapping up 3 days of testimony. Each day from Court TV, it has like 7 hours, but you can get through that. Like I said, if you skip through the beginning, there's about 20 minutes of just waiting for them to get started. That's kind of stuff. And then they have several breaks during the day, which is like a 15-minute break, and then they have an hour lunch, so you can do the math. So it's a lot of time. So I'm trying to cram this in for you guys so you don't have to sit through several hours of testimony. And I liked what this lady said. And then we're going to look at one more clip of another teacher, right? Which I think this lady, it was the other teacher I wanted. It's this one, Mrs. West. Okay. But this lady here, I forgot what her name is. Not her. This lady, I think she's part of the human resources. No. That was another lady. I forgot what her title is, but we'll get to her in a moment. Her testimony is not that long, but I liked it. I thought it's significant testimony. So we're going to check out, I believe her name is Mrs. West. She got on the stand before Mrs. Novak. I kind of did them out of order. I apologize, but it matters not because I just thought both their testimonies stuck out a lot.
Your next witness is?
It's Jennifer West, Your
All
Honor.
right, Ms. West, you
Jennifer-
can
Mrs.
come stand
Jennifer
here in
West.
front of me and raise your right hand.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth after that?
I do.
Thank you.
Come up here, Ed.
This is going to be good. Now, she's another first grade teacher, but this is important. I think her testimony really, really stands out. Now, there is another guy who was, he was like a counselor, a guidance counselor. He was one of the ones who wanted to go. Now, he ends up talking to her, which you're going to hear her testimony. She's going to talk about what she said to him, so he could go relay the messages to Mrs. Parker. Now, he wanted to go and search the boy. After he talks to Mrs. West is going to bring up R. R's another little boy who's scared. She contacts the counselor to talk to R. He talks to R, and then he goes and talks to Mrs. Parker and says he wants to go search JT. She said, no, hold off. His mom's coming soon. His mom can get him. Just keep that in mind, because I'm not playing all the different testimony, which I believe the counselor either is before him or after him. Again, this was 3 days worth of stuff here, guys. I'm trying to get for you guys. So this is important because, again, it was another missed opportunity from Parker because Parker said no, because some of the teachers, especially this counselor guy, wanted to go and search him. If she would have said, yeah, go ahead, go get him, go search him, this would have never happened. But she didn't. She said, hold off. She told him to hold off. So for the defense to say, to have this theme going, that they're all joint at fault. Each person had, even Abby had ample time to go get the gun out of the bag. Mrs. Novak had ample time to go get the bag. Now you have a counselor saying, hey, I want to go and search him. And she said no. And this is all after they were told that he put something in his pocket and he's on the playground. So the counselor guy says, "Let me go search him." And Mrs. Parker says no. So I hope I made that clear.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And has Ms. West been sworn in, Your Honor? Thank you. I appreciate that. And may you state your name for the record, please, and spell it for the court reporter.
Jennifer West, Jennnifer West.
Thank you. And Ms. West, can you tell the jury, how are you currently employed?
I'm a first grade teacher at Rich Neck Elementary.
And how long have you been a teacher?
23 years.
Where were you on January 6, 2023 as a teacher?
Rich Neck Elementary.
And which grade were you teaching then?
First grade.
And you're familiar with Abby Zwarner?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the jury how you knew her on January 6,
She
2023?
was my teammate and taught across the hall.
And tell the jury on that day, did something happen at recess that stuck out to you?
Yes. My class was a few minutes late going out to recess. Abby's class and another class were already outside. When I got out there, I was told that, or Abby told me that she saw JT take something from his backpack and put it in his coat. And I spent the rest of recess kind of watching JT and another student, R. They kept going behind the tree at the playground, and then R would walk away. They'd come back together, and I witnessed that for 15 or 20 minutes while we were outside.
And then after recess, tell the jury, where did you go immediately after recess?
I went initially, and we had a second entrance into the school. I had a student that was acting aggressively, and I opened the side door, and he took off into the hallway, and I followed him down that other hallway towards the office. And when I got to the office, I hollered inside to Mr. Sims, our music teacher, who was standing at the counter, and told him I needed some help with this student. Continued down the hall, and when I got to the corner, the student turned right, and to the left is the first grade hallway. And at the intersection, I ran into Mr. Rawls and Dr. Parker.
Right, and let me slow you down right there. What did you do with the rest of your class when you went after the other boy?
We were in the process of lining up from recess, and when we come in from recess, one teacher typically would blow a whistle, and every class would get in line with their teacher. And so my class walked inside with Abby's class and the other. I don't remember if the other teacher had gone in yet or not.
And just so the jury understands, so when you're at recess, it's typically all the first grade students?
Yes.
Okay. And so back to, you said you saw Dr. Parker and you saw John Sims.
Yes.
And then where do you go from there? Do you turn back to your class?
I went to my class, yes.
So as you're walking to your class, is there anything you do involving the other student, R, who you saw with JT at recess?
I did. I asked to speak with him, to ask him what was going on at recess.
Let me just ask you, why did you talk to R?
This is very significant to me, watching the trial. This is very significant because it sets up another chain of events that this information gets to Parker, and Parker still doesn't do anything. Still, nothing's done. Nothing's done. This is significant to me.
Partially to find out, because we were watching their interaction.
To find out what?
What they were, it seemed that something was being hidden at recess. And when I pulled R out of, I can't honestly remember if it was from the line or from the classroom, but I pulled him to the hallway.
And let me ask you, was there anyone else in the hallway with you as you're talking to R?
Not initially.
Okay.
Abby may have been standing at her door because we had both our classes. And I asked him what was going on. He said, I can't tell you. And he was visibly nervous. And I said, it's okay, you can tell me. And he said, no, I can't. He said that he would hurt us, he would blow us up. And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, it's okay, you can tell me. And he told me, he said that JT had a gun and he saw it in the bullet. And I said, well, what color was it? Trying to see if it was real or not, I guess. And he said, well, it was bullet colored. And he was crying at that point, teary-eyed. And I had him come into my classroom, and I called the office to report it. And Mr. Sims answered the phone. And then I went back to my door, and Mr. Rawls was bringing my other student
And before
back
you
to me.
get into Mr. Rawls, why did you feel the need to call the office and report it?
Because R had said that JT had a gun.
Was that the protocol, to call the office and report it to an
Yes.
administrator?
Yes.
And did you send R back to Miss Warner's class,
No.
or did you keep R in your class?
I kept R in my class for the rest of the day. He was visibly scared. He was worried that JT was going to act, which is why he didn't want to tell me to begin with.
And can you describe for me, as you're talking about him being visibly scared, what does that look like?
You could his demeanor, his facial expressions. When I said it's okay, you can tell me, when the words finally came out of his mouth, he had tears. I was at that point convinced that he had seen something.
Okay. And then you were talking about Mr. Rawls coming down to your classroom. So what happened then?
Mr. Rawls brought my student back to me, and I said, can you talk to him? Mr. Rawls is a guidance counselor, so we rely on them to speak to children when they have some big emotions. And I said, he's scared. He is visibly shaken. Can you please talk to him? And I reported to Mr. Rawls that I had been told that JT's backpack had been checked while we were at recess. And I said to Mr. Rawls, why can't we check his person? R says he had it on him. Can we check him? And at that point, Mr. Rawls left my room.
And let me slow you down right there. So before Mr. Rawls leaves your room, do you see Mr. Rawls talk to R?
I can't remember if I saw the conversation or not. It was right outside my classroom door, and I honestly don't remember where my position was at that point.
Once Mr. Rawls is leaving and R is coming in, what does he look like then? What's his demeanor? How is he acting?
He was scared. I had him sit at one of my tables. A student was absent, so I put him in an empty student seat. And every time he'd get up, he got up frequently and would side eye to look out the classroom door window. It seemed to me that he was checking to see what was going on across the hall.
When he came back from talking with Mr. Rawls, did he still have teary eyes?
Yes.
Teary eyes. So tell me, where, if you know, did Mr. Rawls go when he left your classroom?
He said he was going to Dr. Parker to ask permission to search JT.
And
Very
then did
important.
you see Mr. Rawls again that day?
He came back and told me that we were told we could not search him.
Oh.
Okay. And then did you keep R in your class the
Yeah,
remainder
R
of the
stayed in
time?
my classroom even after the incident.
I think, and think about the time frame. So the counselor went down and said, hey, can we search him? She said, no, you need to hold off. Well, I think that's more what she said, where she didn't say a flat out no, which the defense is going to point that out, but she said hold off, which means no. You didn't give the guidance counselor permission to go pull him out of Mrs. Zwerner's class. So there's still time, folks. There's still time to avoid all of this. But Parker said hold off because his mama's coming. This is why I picked these two people to show you for testimony that leads up to this as well. Because there's still time to stop this. Let the guy go and search the kid. If he would have came back down the hall and searched the kid, they would have found the gun, and the Mrs. Zwerner wouldn't have been shot. This is crucial. So the defense doing the blame game, I keep repeating this, keeps doing the blame game that it's everybody's fault. So what? Is it completely Mrs. Novak's fault and Abigail's fault that they didn't get the backpack from the get-go? No, because there's a chain of events here. There's still time to stop this. So you can't blame Novak and you can't blame Abigail. You have to blame Parker. Again, I'm going to emphasize, if she would let the counselor go and search him right then and there, they would have found the gun. Period.
And when you say the incident,
The shooting.
And did you hear the
Yes.
shooting?
Yes.
Okay. Once you heard the shooting, what did you think that was?
I knew it was a gunshot.
And where did you think it had come from?
Abby's room.
Did someone open your door at that moment?
I did.
Okay.
I opened the door, and Abby's class came across the hall. I saw a side view of Abby. I couldn't see her face. I knew that she had been shot because there was blood on the floor, and I saw her hand. And once I got all of the students in, I shut my door and followed lockdown procedures, even though lockdown had not been called yet.
And are still with you in the class at that time?
Yes,
And did you see JT at that moment?
I did not.
But you knew at that time
Yes.
that something had happened. JT had done something.
Yes.
And you knew at that time it was a gun.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I have right now. I appreciate
Thank
if
you.
you'll answer any of opposing counsel or the judges.
Cross-examination.
How are they going to deal with her?
This was.
Yes.
You're one of the lead first grade teachers at Mission Elementary School, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was the case back in 2023 as well, right?
Yes.
And by lead first grade teachers, that means that you're in the hierarchy of responsibility there at the school. You have some teachers that work under you, or you have some authority over them, correct?
I don't know that they don't work under me. I'm the lead of the team. What that means is I attend meetings at the district level and disseminate information to my team that way. And I am part of the lead team at the school, but I'm not in charge of any teachers.
That's right.
So what, is he going to blame her because she didn't go to him on the playground and get the gun from him? It's everybody else's fault but Mrs. Parker. This is beyond comprehension.
And part of your responsibility as a lead teacher also is you can serve as a mentor for fellow teachers.
It has nothing to do with being a lead. I can choose to be a mentor teacher. I just happen to be both.
And you were a mentor to Ms. Warner.
Yes. The previous year, her first year in first
And
grade.
as her mentor, you kind of showed her the ropes with classroom management. You showed her the ropes with how school works and school operates. And you try to share and impart knowledge to her, right? As her mentor.
Yes.
In addition to having the opportunity to mentor folks, sometimes you have some supervisory responsibilities at the school.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Take, for example, as lead teacher, isn't it typical, or was it typical at the time, that you would have a walkie-talkie if you went out to recess? That would usually go to the lead teacher.
I don't believe it was, I believe it was the first teacher that went out to recess would get the walkie-talkie, so that there was one on the playground regardless of who was out there.
Understood. On January 6, 2023, you had a walkie-talkie.
I did at the end of the day, like after recess. I honestly don't remember having it prior to the lockdown.
On January 6th, the first time you encountered Mrs. Warner was out on the playground at recess, correct?
No, at lunch.
At lunch.
Yes.
That was in Miss Miller's classroom.
Yes.
And that's when Miss Warner came in, and you referred her to go and speak to the administration, right?
Yes.
After that, the next time you encounter Abby was on the playground, correct?
Yes.
When, on January 6th, when you went to recess that day, you got there a little bit late, right?
Mm-hmm.
So ordinarily it'd probably be around 12:20, 12:25.
Yes.
You were there around 12:35.
Yes.
Right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand your testimony today to be when you arrived on the playground, Ms. Warner let you know that she suspected or had reason to believe that JT might have a firearm on his person?
I don't specifically remember her saying firearm. I remember in the notes that I wrote down from that day was that she told me she witnessed him take something. I wasn't convinced it was a firearm until I spoke with R.
Okay. Once you arrived on the playground, did she immediately notify you?
Within a couple of minutes, likely, yes.
Okay. Miss West, I'm going to show you an exhibit which has been marked for identification as Defense 63H. And I just want this to be displayed to Miss West and counsel.
63H.
That's correct.
Wow. So you're a leader? So basically saying you should have did something right then and there when you were on the playground because you had a walkie-talkie? No, I don't think I had it then.
All right, Miss West, can you see that display?
It's,
Yes.
All right,
it's crazy.
I'm gonna take a portion of this clip and ask if you recognize the individual who appeared on the screen. Brian, can you play, please? All right, can we pause here, please? Okay. Ms. West, do you recognize, is this a fair and accurate representation of you coming onto the playground at recess time on January 6, 2023?
I don't know. I don't know. Are you talking about on the sidewalk?
Yes.
I honestly don't know if that's me or not, but it might be.
Sure. You can continue playing, Brian.
And what is the significance
That
of this?
individual who
I'm
just
not sure.
passed the person in the green sweater, that was Abby Zorn, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize yourself in this image now?
Yes.
Okay. So that's you, Miss West, standing there on the playground on the day before the shooting occurs, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you just saw that you passed Mrs. Warner on the way out onto the playground. At that stage, she had not informed you,
I don't believe so. I can't say for sure.
right? And you'll see that in this display, you're the only adult on the playground at this stage.
Okay.
You would agree?
It appears so.
And there's multiple children out there, right?
Yes.
You're the only adult supervising those children, correct?
I mean, that's what it looks like, but there are, we would like station ourselves in other places, so.
Sure, we can continue playing the rest of the clip.
Okay.
But this image here, you're the only adult.
Can be seen by camera, yes.
Correct. Brian, if you could continue playing the clip, please. Brian, let's do. Let's do 63F, or excuse me, let's do 63I, please. So this is skipping forward. If you could pause here, Brian, please. Miss West, can you see in the upper right quadrant, the upper right corner of this video?
Mm-hmm.
There's an individual out there. Do you recognize that?
I mean, it looks like me.
Okay. And Brian, please continue playing.
I don't know.
All right. And Your Honor, I would ask for permission to publish this to the jury. I believe I overlooked that initially.
So what's he trying to say?
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
She has ample time to go get him. I don't
All right,
know.
at this stage, which has been paused, it looks like you're in the upper right corner of the surveillance image here, while Abby Warner is across from you on the other side of the playground, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then, Brian, due to my oversight, if we could go back to the original clip and just show that for the jury, if we can publish that, please. We'll see Miss West come onto the playground, pass Mrs. Warner. And if you could pause, please.
And that's 62H that you just showed, is that correct?
This is E, Your Honor, 62E. Or sorry, this is 63H, excuse me. Miss West, while you're here on the playground here, at this stage, you have no knowledge whether or not John Doe possesses, or JT possesses a firearm, right? No one's giving you any warning.
I don't recall specifically, but probably not.
Right, and so Ms. Warner at that stage had knowledge that JT
And Judge, I
possessed
would
the firearm?
object at this point for speculation.
Yeah.
Not saying what another person had knowledge of. That's inappropriate.
Lack of foundation at this point.
That's fine. She
They're
can testify to
reaching.
that, but it's been established.
The objection is sustained.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. Ms. West, you've testified that at some stage while you were out on the playground, you were eventually informed that JT might have a weapon, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that you were trying to keep an eye on him, right?
Now, I was informed that he took something from his backpack. I can't speak for sure if I was told it was a weapon.
And from that point onward, you were trying to keep an eye on him, right?
Yes.
Okay. And your testimony today was that you were trying to remain vigilant because you suspected that he might have a weapon.
Have something. I was told he took something from his backpack.
Man, he said that like 3 or 4 times. And she keeps saying, I don't recall if they told me his weapon. It's just something. Something was taken out of his backpack. Again, the defense is just trying to frame that you, Miss West, you knew he had a gun. Why didn't you go get him off the playground? Don't look at Miss Parker. It's not Miss Parker's fault. It's your fault. It's Abigail's fault. It's Mrs. Novak's fault. Y'all didn't do nothing because you're a team leader. Miss Novak's third in line to take control. Abigail, she can't control her class. Doesn't she know how to discipline her own children? Doesn't she know how to take action? Because Abigail's gonna take the stand, y'all. I've done watched it. We just can't play it all right now. But I'm just saying, this has been their attack. It's everybody else's fault. You guys should have done this. You should have gone and did that. I mean, that's the insinuation I'm getting from this type of cross-examination. And she's doing a good job. I mean, she's saying, hey, I'm not sure. I don't recall. I mean, keep in mind, this is 2025. This happened 2 years ago. So she's having to remember, which I'm sure it's traumatic she can remember, but not everybody remembers everything. You were on the playground. You saw him over there. You're a team leader. Why didn't you do something? That's what he's insinuating. That's how he's doing it.
When you were on the playground, did you feel in fear for your safety?
I don't know. I was watching 40-ish children and keeping an eye on somebody that we were unsure.
And after you received
Good
a
answer.
report from Ms. Warner that JT might possess a firearm, and you began watching him, at that point, were you concerned for your safety?
Honestly, I don't know. It is a blur. But again, I don't recall specifically if the word firearm or gun was used at that time.
Is that like the 5th
I
time
was
he's asked her?
convinced that there was a gun after I spoke with R after recess.
Just keeps asking in a different way. She's staying consistent with saying that because he wants her to say that. He's trying to get her to slip up and say, yeah, we knew he had a gun. So why didn't you do something about it? He ain't.
Court's indulgence, please.
That's my take on this cross-examination. I mean, I could be wrong, but he's asked her the same
At some stage
question.
when you were out on the playground, Ms.
several times.
West, you had another student who became disruptive, right?
Yes, when we were lining up.
Right. And at that stage, you had already received information that JT might have a weapon, right?
Again, I can't say for sure that the word weapon or gun was used.
Man.
My notes that I wrote down that day, I just said that it was reported that he took something.
What is it,
I
6
can't
times
speak,
now, y'all?
speak clearly that I was told it was a weapon.
Oh, he wants her to say it. He wants her to say it so he can blame her. You knew he had a gun. Why didn't you do something about it? You're gonna blame Mrs. Parker. She's doing good, y'all. She's staying consistent with her statements. Because that's their whole defense. Is all these other people knew, and they didn't do nothing.
When you returned to the school to deal with that student, and you got inside, you encountered Dr. Parker.
For about 2 seconds. We walked past each other.
Right. And you walked past her because you were dealing with the other student who had become disruptive on the playground.
I was following him because he was eloping. He was running from me.
He was running from you.
Yes.
And you contacted Dr. Parker and asked for assistance, right?
I don't remember what I said to her, but it was literally in passing. It was not a stop and have a conversation.
And a guidance counselor or
Was also in the hallway with Dr.
and
Parker.
intercepted the child
Yes.
and took him to the main office to be disciplined.
I don't know where he took him.
When you encountered Dr. Parker in that hallway, you didn't disclose any of the information you had received.
I did not, because I was not convinced until after that when I spoke with R.
Here we go. The blame
So
game.
your suspicion that JT might have an actual weapon of some kind didn't materialize until you spoke to RR, is that correct?
I was convinced when I spoke with R.
But up to that point, you had a suspicion?
Yes. And I was focused on my student in that moment, and I don't know why I didn't say anything when I walked past Dr. Parker in the hallway.
When Ms. Warner first reported that the student might have had an item on this person, it was possible that he might have a weapon, right?
It was possible, yes,
And you're familiar with the protocols that
to
were,
report to an administrator.
but also, is it your understanding that if someone reports that there's a suspected weapon, you should presume that it's legitimate?
I'm not sure what you mean.
So you're not familiar with the protocols?
Oh, I'm not sure what you're asking. Can you ask that again?
I'm asking that you had received information that the student might have something that may or may not be a weapon, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And despite that knowledge, you remained on the playground with multiple students.
Yes.
You allowed that child to continue playing.
So she didn't act with protocol, but either did Mrs. Parker. And keep in mind, Mrs. Novak already told Mrs. Parker 2 students said JT has a gun. We saw it. So where's the protocol there? Again, the blame game. And this was an hour even before she has an encounter with R. Right? This is early on in the morning, early on in the day, right after lunch. Hey, these 2 students said this. Did Miss Parker do protocol? Miss Parker should have did protocol right there. So I think, to me, the rest of this is irrelevant. Boom. It's right there. It's right there at the beginning of the day. When as soon as Miss Novak went and told her, hey, 2 kids said he had a gun. They should have immediately went down there. I keep re-saying this because all of this is irrelevant. So now he's trying to say she didn't exercise protocol. If she thinks there's a gun, or you're going to blame Miss Abigail, you're going to blame her. When there was still time. When Parker heard about it the very first time. Protocol. So you're going to tell me he's going to throw protocol on her? This is, wow. Wow.
Allow the child to continue playing with other children.
What should I have done?
Detain them,
You can't. How was I supposed to detain him?
isolate them, evacuate the area.
An
Use the
alert.
walkie-talkie to contact the.
That's not something you would put over a walkie-talkie.
You wouldn't want to share with the school that there's a suspected weapon? That's all
You
I'm saying.
wouldn't alert the entire school over walkie-talkie that there's a suspected weapon.
But you would allow a child in possession of a suspected weapon to commingle with other children.
It was my understanding that Dr. Parker had been made aware by another teacher
And,
while we were at recess.
and so you
Boom!
took no measures to isolate this child, to detain him, to
I
search
did
him.
not try to.
How is it her fault? How is it her fault that she hasn't detained him? Miss Parker already has all this information. Miss Parker has not sent somebody to go, hey, or her get off her ass, bring the security guard with her, and go get him. Somebody's done told her he has the shit in his jacket.
To isolate him, no.
Rather, you prioritized disciplining another student.
It
because-
wasn't disciplining, he was eloping. And I was keeping him away from
Blaming
harming
her.
somebody. He was putting his hands on another student.
Right, you perceived that as an imminent threat to that student. That's why you followed that student, correct?
Because I witnessed it, yes.
And you took action on it, right?
Well, I opened the door and he ran.
And you left the playground when you did that.
I did,
And JT remained on the playground when you left,
yes,
with the other students,
yes.
with a potential firearm.
That Dr. Parker had already been made aware of.
Oh!
You
Burn.
have received no confirmation that she received any information to that effect.
The confirmation came from my coworkers telling me that she had been made aware.
Your
I
coworkers-
spoke
your
with R.
coworkers who remained on the playground with you.
One of them, yes, but one of them was not on the playground.
Damn. My God. Blaming her. You left the kid on the playground suspecting he had a gun? She said, hey,
Ms. West,
Miss
you've
Parker was
testified
made
that
aware.
When you left JT on the playground, you didn't know whether or not he had a weapon.
I was not confirmed, no.
But your testimony today was that you didn't even think that he had a firearm?
No. I said it was suspected. I didn't know what it was. Once I questioned R and he told me that he had seen a weapon and I saw how scared R was, how visibly shaken he was by the threats of harm from JT, that's what convinced me that it was a weapon.
And
Good God, they're lucky he didn't shoot a child. It's a miracle.
let's fast forward a little bit. Once you spoke to R about the reports or information he received about JT, that's when you decided to contact the administration, right?
Yes.
But you didn't go there directly.
I couldn't go there. I had a classroom full of children.
But you left them on the playground before last time.
They
previously.
were getting in line with another
Do you
teacher.
only leave children on the playground when you suspect one of them has a firearm?
This never
Is
happened
that the
before or
protocol that's in
since.
place? It happened on January 6th.
You are correct.
Correct.
But there was no protocol in place for that other than report to your administrator.
There was no protocol in place.
I mean, it was report to your administrator and it had been reported.
So,
Oh my God.
meanwhile, well, you
This
had
is-
information that a child might have a weapon.
Jesus.
You allowed children to remain on the playground unsupervised.
Judge, objection. This question's been asked and answered numerous times
Yeah.
at this point. Her
I-
answer's
I
not
agree.
going to change.
I can move on from this.
Right, that objection sustained.
Thank you.
Blame her.
Ms. West, you testified that when you arrived on the playground, you weren't told specifically whether or not JT had a gun. Is that
That's,
correct?
that's what my notes, I wrote down notes that night and that's what my notes say.
Do you recall testifying in a deposition in this matter?
Yes,
You remember being placed under oath?
yes,
You swore to tell the truth.
yes.
Brian, if you could pull up page 73 of the August 13th, 2025 deposition.
We're going to prove to you that it's your fault. Let's look at your deposition.
Remind, what was the page number again? Just for my bad.
It's page 73.
Miss Parker is innocent. There is no blame. It's the blame to go all around. That's what's happening here. That's the defense. That's unbelievable. I don't know. You never can tell what a jury's going to do. If they're reading this like I'm reading it is like their whole defense is blame everybody else but Miss Parker. She was busy with testing and 2 other students who were being needed disciplinary action.
Page 73, if you can go and direct your attention to line 19, lines 17 to 19. You recall you were questioned, so at that moment you're out on the playground and you think John Doe has a gun. And you respond, I'm told that he does, yes.
Yes.
So your testimony under oath at the deposition preceding this trial was that Ms. Warner had reported to you that this child had, in fact, a firearm.
That's what I said then, yes.
And you were unequivocal at that stage.
I don't recall. It was an emotional time during the deposition.
True that.
And I imagine it would be an emotional time on a playground when a teacher reports that a child has a gun, right?
It would, sure.
Yet you left him on the playground thinking that he had a gun and you didn't do anything.
Judge, again, I'm objecting.
Wow.
It's been asked and answered a few times. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. You didn't do nothing. It's your fault. Damn.
I have no further questions as well, Judge.
I don't-
Before you sit down, did you show a second video clip, or was that a clip that you
There were
showed?
multiple clips. I think there was,
63I was the second one.
that's correct.
That's Brian, by the way, for the transcript.
I don't know if they're gonna redirect. I don't remember.
Redirect.
Just one question, Your Honor.
Here we
Can
go.
you tell the jury who was the teacher that you understood was telling Dr. Parker while you were at recess that they thought JT had a gun on the playground?
Amy Kovac, our reading specialist.
I guess second question, who did you think she was telling that to?
Dr. Parker.
Okay, thank you.
Boom.
Any follow-up based on that?
I got nothing, Judge. I got.
Question.
Uh-oh.
The reason you thought Ms. Kovac reported to Dr. Parker was because you had spoken to Ms. Kovac, correct?
I don't believe I've spoken to her. I believe I was told.
So, and you weren't present for that conversation?
No,
You had no direct knowledge whether or not she actually communicated with Dr. Parker that way?
I guess not, no.
No further questions, Judge.
All right. Is she,
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness. We still got tomorrow, guys. We got tomorrow. It's supposed to, it said it 8 days in that thing I read earlier that it's supposed to last 8 days. Now, in the Johnny Depp trial, it was a civil trial. I'm sure y'all remember that. I watched all of it. Each side had an amount of time that they had allotted to them. If they run out of time, I guess they run out of time, and then the other people get to keep going. I don't know. It was weird. I never knew anything. 'Cause I don't know nothing about civil. Actually, I only know very little about the criminal, but I do enjoy watching it. So in this one, I didn't hear anything at the beginning that they all had a certain amount of time apiece. But I know that they were wanting to move things along. I mean, and some if you watch the trial, they're kind of arguing some stuff in front of the jury that I thought was like, whoa. Now he did say at the beginning of the trial, the judge did, is like they're going to do some stuff, and then sometimes they're going to exit them out, and then they'll argue some things that they don't want the jury to hear. But there was some things that they were saying that I was like, why is this in front of the jury? And then as soon as I thought that, the judge stops and says to the jury, oh, just ignore all that. It has nothing to do with innocence or guilt on either side or whatever. I was like, what? Because I was like, damn, this can affect their judgment. What are they objecting about? And then they start talking about what they're objecting. I was just kind of blown away by it. But I think the judges, they're just wanting to get this going, get the trial moving, because maybe they are on a crunch. If it's only supposed to last 8 days, they got to get it done. But after 3 days, the prosecution's already rested. And then it was a problem with the defense, because the prosecution gets up and is like, they're not even ready. What are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. But basically, I'm just exaggerating what they're doing, but I'm just cramming it in a nutshell. And they're like, well, hey, we got to do this. We didn't know this was going to do that. And then they started arguing all this other stuff. So it was interesting. But anyway, there's a rough draft of where we're at so far. There's a whole lot of other testimony. If y'all want to go here, the psychiatrist did an excellent job. If you're interested in the medical aspect of it, just pull them up and then shoot to it. There's three different doctors that talk about her hands and the wounds in on her chest area and her lung. She had a collapsed lung. Was good testimony, but I really liked the testimony from the psychologist. I thought he did a great job doing that, and then the defense attacking him was good. And he's like, no, I'm not sure about that, or whatever. They're like, well, you didn't do this. You didn't read these notes. And he's like, hey, it wasn't necessary. It was good. You got to go see it. It usually does get good when there's a psychiatrist on there. And when the psychiatrist is good, and then the defense gets up and tries to dismantle him, you get the picture. If you enjoy trials, I'm kind of nerdy like that. I do like trials. You could go look at some of my playlists. I've covered a couple of trials. And they're interesting. But this one I kind of condensed. And then tomorrow, I don't know if I'll get a chance to be able to watch it tomorrow while it's playing. I'll probably wait till tomorrow evening so I can speed watch it is what I usually do. I put it on a certain speed where I could still understand and I can get through because, oh, good God, it takes a long time. So I'm going to check out tomorrow, take notes, and then see where we're at. I'll get a summary of the day's events, which would be helpful for me as well and for you. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think it's a joint shared fault? Do you agree with what the defense is doing? Blaming Mrs. Kovac, blaming Abigail, blaming Mrs. West. Why didn't you do something? You were on there. Now, I didn't go over Abigail's testimony. That happened, I think that did happen yesterday. There's 1, 2, and 3 days of trial on the court TV. I think it was the second day she testified. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but whatever. But somebody might have it clipped to where they just have it, and then boom, that's her whole testimony. And they kind of point the finger at her very carefully, but they did it. They're blaming her. This whole defense strategy is blame everybody but Parker. And y'all all know what I said. I said, soon as Novak told her, 2 girls said, he has a gun, she should have immediately got the security guard and went and dealt with him. Now, we can even back it up one time further than that. Soon as Abigail Zawarner went in there and said, hey, JT is threatening to beat up this other kid. He just got back off suspension. He should have been pulled in the office immediately, all his belongings, and then sat him there and had his mom come get him. Period. I think none of this would have happened. But he still had the damn gun in his backpack. So what? His mom didn't notice the gun was missing in her purse? What was she doing? So there you go. There's a lot of questions. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Are you keeping up with the trial? Do you have any opinions on it? And shout out to all my Newport News and my Hampton peeps, because I used to live out there. And there you go. There you have it.